Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with your heart pounding uncontrollably, only to convince yourself it's just stress? Have you found yourself breathless after climbing just a few steps, brushing it off as just age catching up? Millions of people just like you have ignored these subtle signals until it was too late to turn back. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, every 40 seconds, someone in the United States has a heart attack. Even more alarming, nearly 1 in 5 of those heart attacks occur without any noticeable symptoms, a phenomenon known as a silent heart attack. The World Health Organization, WHO, warns that cardiovascular diseases are now the #1 cause of death globally, claiming more than 17 million lives each year, more than cancer and traffic accidents combined. So what is the reason of heart attack? Is it only a concern for the elderly, smokers, or people with obesity? Not at all. Even seemingly healthy individuals, people with no chest pain, no warning, can suffer a fatal attack. Why? Because they missed the subtle heart attack warning signs that their heart had been sending, sometimes up to a month in advance. This video will help you recognize the symptoms of a silent heart attack, understand why they happen, and, most importantly, what you can do to prevent one. If you care about your own life or someone you love, this may be the most important 10 minutes you spend today. Keep watching, because what you learn might just save your heart.
Sometimes, the heart doesn't scream for help. It whispers. And if we learn to recognize those whispers, we might save a life, maybe even our own. 1 month before a heart attack, your body may begin to send out warnings, quiet, subtle, easily dismissed. But make no mistake, these are not ordinary discomforts. They are early warning signs. And recognizing them could be the difference between prevention and tragedy. Let's begin with the first, cold sweats and sudden paleness. Imagine sitting quietly, perhaps reading or having lunch, when a cold sweat breaks across your skin. Not because of heat, exertion, or emotion. It's clammy, uncomfortable, and feels like your body is under sudden stress. According to the American Heart Association, up to 30% of individuals who later suffered a heart attack reported these unexplained sweats in the days or weeks leading up to it. Your body may be reacting to restricted blood flow to the heart, setting off its internal alarm system. This is not a night sweat or a hot flash. It comes without warning and should never be ignored. Next is unusual fatigue or shortness of breath. You may find yourself tired after doing something you could easily manage a month ago. Walking across a room, carrying groceries, or even standing for a while feels draining. The National Institutes of Health reports that over 70% of women experience this symptom before a heart attack, yet very few recognize it for what it is. This fatigue is deep, relentless, and unresponsive to rest. It often arrives without chest pain, especially in women, and that's what makes it so deceptive. Don't dismiss it as just aging. It's one of the most overlooked heart attack symptoms, especially in women over 60. Now, think about pain in your jaw, shoulder, or neck. This pain, particularly on the left side, can feel like dental discomfort, tension, or just a bad night's sleep. But in many cases, it's not muscular or dental, it's cardiac. The Cleveland Clinic confirms that pain radiating from the heart often surfaces in other parts of the body. If this discomfort appears during physical or emotional stress and eases with rest, it may be your heart struggling to get enough oxygen. Persistent indigestion or bloating is another sign that many seniors confuse with ordinary digestive issues. But when heart tissue is stressed, it can send misleading signals to the stomach. That's why the Mayo Clinic notes that gastrointestinal symptoms often show up before a heart attack, particularly in older adults and women. If you've been treating indigestion or fullness with no relief, and you also have risk factors like diabetes or high blood pressure, it's time to think beyond the stomach. The overlap between symptoms of stroke or heart attack can be dangerously subtle. Pain in the back, specifically between the shoulder blades, can also be a warning. It might feel like muscle tightness or strain, especially if you've been sitting or lying down for long periods of time. But unlike muscle pain, this doesn't go away with a change in position or a gentle stretch. Johns Hopkins Medicine emphasizes that upper back pain, especially if it appears suddenly and without a clear cause, should never be ignored. For many women, this is one of the few outward signs of heart distress. A tingling or numbing sensation in the left arm is perhaps one of the more classic symptoms of heart trouble. But it's often dismissed until it becomes severe. The American College of Cardiology reports that this symptom may show up weeks before a heart attack, sometimes during light activity like brushing hair or reaching for something. If it's a new or unexplained sensation, especially if accompanied by any of the symptoms already mentioned, it could indicate restricted blood flow to the heart. Finally, dizziness or balance issues can signal something deeper than dehydration or getting up too fast. If you've been feeling faint, lightheaded, or off balance without warning, particularly during meals, walking, or simply standing, it may be your heart struggling to pump blood to your brain. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention lists dizziness as one of the early symptoms for both heart attacks and strokes, especially in seniors. These signs, individually, might seem harmless, but together they tell a story your heart is trying to tell you, quietly, persistently. If you've noticed any of these symptoms in yourself or someone you love, don't wait. The earlier we listen, the better our chances to act, to heal, and to continue living fully with a heart that's not just beating, but thriving. Let's now understand why these symptoms appear in the first place, and more importantly, how to prevent them from becoming permanent.
Now that we've explored the subtle ways your body might warn you of a heart attack, it's time to look deeper into a troubling truth, one that affects millions of women and younger adults across America. Heart disease has long been labeled a man's disease, but the data tells a different story. According to the American Heart Association, cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death for women in the United States, accounting for 1 in every 5 female deaths. Yet women are less likely to recognize their symptoms and more likely to delay seeking help. Why? Because the signs are often less dramatic and more easily mistaken for stress, indigestion, or fatigue. Unlike the chest-clutching image we often associate with men, yes, symptoms of heart attack in men are typically more direct, women may experience pain in the jaw, shortness of breath, nausea, or overwhelming tiredness. These softer symptoms are no less dangerous. In fact, research from Yale University found that women under age 55 were twice as likely to die after a heart attack compared to men the same age. And it's not just about heart attacks. Female stroke symptoms can be even more elusive. Sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or a general feeling that something's not right might be the only clues. According to the National Stroke Association, signs of a mini-stroke in a woman are often ignored or misdiagnosed, leading to delayed treatment that could have prevented permanent damage. When you understand this, it's not about fear, it's about awareness. It's about tuning into your body and honoring what it tells you, especially if you're a woman or caring for one. Because when you know better, you do better, and your heart and brain will thank you. Let's now uncover why these symptoms show up and how to stop them before they start.
So now we understand what those warning signs look like, but why do they appear in the first place? What can cause a heart attack, especially in people who don't feel sick? Think of your arteries like a garden hose. When the inside is clear, water flows freely. But when debris builds up inside, pressure rises and the flow slows down. Eventually, it can get blocked completely. That's what happens inside your heart. The number one cause of heart attacks is a condition called atherosclerosis, when plaque made of cholesterol, fat, and calcium builds up inside the coronary arteries, reducing blood flow to the heart. Over time, this plaque can rupture, causing a clot to form. If that clot blocks blood flow entirely, the heart muscle begins to die. According to the American Heart Association, nearly 94 million adults in the U.S. have total cholesterol levels above 200 milligrams per deciliter, which significantly raises their heart attack risk. High blood pressure, another major contributor, affects almost half of all adults in the United States, based on CDC data. And inflammation from smoking, diabetes, or chronic stress only accelerates the damage. This is what is the reason of heart attack for many people. Slow, silent damage, often building up for years. And it doesn't stop with the heart. When arteries in the brain are affected, the signs and symptoms of stroke, like slurred speech or sudden weakness, can appear with little warning. But here's the powerful truth. A lot of this is preventable. The first step is understanding that heart disease doesn't happen overnight. It starts with what we eat, how we move, how we rest, and how we manage our stress. And most importantly, it starts with awareness. Because once we understand how it happens, we're already one step closer to preventing it. By now, you may be wondering, how can we tell the difference between a heart attack and a stroke? Both are medical emergencies. Both can be silent killers. But knowing the difference could save your life or the life of someone you love. Let's look at 3 critical ways to distinguish the signs and symptoms of heart attack and stroke. First, chest discomfort versus facial asymmetry. A heart attack often presents with a feeling of tightness or pressure in the chest, lasting more than a few minutes or coming and going. In contrast, stroke symptoms may include sudden facial drooping, especially on one side, or numbness in the arm or leg, often on just one side of the body. Second, breathing versus speech. Heart attack victims frequently experience shortness of breath, sometimes even without chest pain. With stroke, the warning may be difficulty speaking, slurred words, or confusion, sometimes described as not being able to get the words out. Third, circulation versus balance. During a heart attack, the pulse may become rapid or irregular. A stroke, however, often involves dizziness, blurred vision, or a sudden loss of coordination. The CDC outlines these differences as crucial early warning signs of stroke symptoms that require immediate attention. Together, these symptoms may overlap, but understanding the sign of stroke or heart attack can help you act quickly, and that can be life-saving. So what should you do if you or someone near you experiences these signs? First, stay calm. Sit or lie down and try not to move too much. Panic only increases the heart's workload. Second, call emergency services immediately. Time is muscle in a heart attack. Time is brain in a stroke. Do not drive yourself or delay action. Let professionals handle it. Third, be prepared to explain your symptoms clearly, including how long they've been happening and whether you have a history of high blood pressure, diabetes, or cholesterol. That information can help doctors act faster. And here's something few people talk about: mini-strokes or transient ischemic attacks, or TIAs. These are short-lived strokes that resolved on their own but are often the body's final warning before a major stroke. According to the National Stroke Association, 1 in 3 people who experience a TIA will have a full stroke within a year, and 40% within just a few days. To prevent stroke or heart attack from escalating, awareness is key, but so is action. Take aspirin only if recommended by a healthcare provider. Monitor your blood pressure. Know your numbers. Know your risk factors, and be ready to act when something feels off. Because in that moment, it's not about waiting, it's about moving, swiftly, wisely, and with your life in mind. Let's now turn to the habits and healing tools that can prevent these emergencies from happening in the first place.
You've learned how to recognize the early signs. You've seen how urgent a response must be,
But perhaps the most empowering part of this journey is knowing there are daily choices we can make to reduce our risk dramatically. Because heart attacks and strokes are not just emergencies to survive, they are conditions we can often prevent. Let's explore how. We start with food, the most powerful medicine we put into our bodies each day. The best diet for heart disease isn't a fad, it's consistent, natural, and deeply nourishing. According to the American College of Cardiology, a Mediterranean-style diet, rich in leafy greens, whole grains, beans, olive oil, and fatty fish, can reduce the risk of cardiovascular events by over 30%. It's also considered one of the best diets for congestive heart failure. Add more potassium-rich foods, like bananas and sweet potatoes, to help lower blood pressure and reduce sodium by avoiding processed foods. If you're wondering what to eat to prevent stroke, the answer is simple. Color your plate with fruits and vegetables. Aim for at least 5 servings a day.